Hello survivors, and welcome to another video. In today's video we are doing a beginner's guide to curse 7, curse tier 7 at least, not max curse, because it really isn't necessary to do max curse when you're playing this game. That's more for a challenge once you have absolutely everything unlocked. Now as you can see, I'm playing on a different save where we don't have everything unlocked. We don't even have the whole skill tree. We don't have any of the alternate skins, whatever it may be. Today we're going to focus on explaining which curses I pick and why, what character we're playing. We're playing a character, the Sentinel, because it was recommended, not recommended, it was asked of by Kapa, one of the subscribers to the channel. They wanted a curse 7 Sentinel build, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using his third weapon. You are going to need your Sentinel to be at least prestige level 50, so you are going to need a 50 over here, which is a couple of runs even if you don't have anything unlocked yet. Getting there is not too difficult, especially you could do like 1 or 2 runs on curse 3 or 4 and you should be there. Then what we're running is going to be obscure arrow, void trap, a ricochet shot, sniper arrow, split shot, and shadow orb to go into an overlord cycle. So if you want to go over into the red or the purple portal, you can then maybe swap out the sniper shot for shadow spark, so that you've got the number of stacks of doom, the damage caused based on stacks of doom on targets. But if you're playing it that way, you do change the way that the build works, but we'll speak about that as we go through the actual gameplay of the game. So let's get over to the curses. First things first is what map do you play on. When you are a beginner, when you are playing in the beginning, you do want to max out all of your all the curses on all of the maps. What you're going to do is you're going to take the same curses I show you now on all of the maps. It's the easiest way to do it, and you only need to have 37 curse intensity to get absolutely maximum amount of bonuses. So a good example is if I go over that 37, if you just focus over here, if I go and click on this, as you can see, absolutely nothing on the right hand side changes. So there is no point in going over this curse unless you're trying to challenge yourself to make it harder and be like, okay, let me limit test this build and see how good it actually is when we have everything on and making the enemy stronger. On that as well, if we go to say, like, what's the difference between Scorching Valley and the Dungeons of Despair? As you can see, when we click on the Dungeons of Despair, we get this new icon here next to it. This is called the danger level. Now the danger level has different levels to it. Each map goes up, so we got 2, 4, 8, and then 14. What it does is it increases the enemy's health, damage, attack speed, and movement speed. Movement speed does make it though that it can be a faster run, but the health, damage, but the enemy's health does make it a lot harder, so they are a lot tankier, which we don't necessarily want to worry about when we are low level or new to the game, and we just want to get some of the achievements and unlocks and get the skill tree and just feel powerful. So let's get into the curses. We will go over all of them, so we'll quickly try and go over it as quickly as possible. Over here, we don't want the Warlords of the Void, because the Lords of the Voids now have extra health and armor power. There are a couple of curses we try and avoid as much as possible where we can. Those are going to be Lifeless Void, Revenge of the Void, Captain and Warlord of the Void, and then we're going to try and skip a couple of others when we get there. But over here we have to take Lifeless Void, Captain of the Void, and Revenge of the Void. Revenge of the Void makes it so that meteors fall near your position. I think there's a possibility that you can get it to like 10%, and then when you are on max curse it's 10%, and it really does hurt a lot, especially visually. It becomes very cluttered, so I like to miss it. But just because of the visual clutter, it makes it a lot easier to dodge and move around without it. Warlords of the Void and Captain of the Void are the elites and the lords, having more HP and armor, so they are harder to kill, so that's why we avoid them. And then Lifeless Void reduces all healing that we receive, so that's also why we try and not use it, because we do actually want to be able to heal when we get hit. So over here you can see we've used these ones over here. Unholy reinforcements makes it so more elite spawn faster, so that we are able to kill enemies quicker, so that we're able to spawn the bosses faster and therefore make the run quicker as well. Here Clone Army makes it so that more enemy elites spawn, so that we're able to kill things faster, so that we're able to make the enemies, the bosses, spawn faster. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. And then Rectus Goblins makes it so that more enemies spawn, so that we can kill faster, so that we can spawn the bosses faster. You can see where we're going with these curses over here. Over here, we only want Council of the Lords, House of the Lords, and Unholy Reinforcements. We want House of the Lords and Council of the Lords because we want as many bosses to spawn as possible. We also want them all to spawn at the same time, so we want to take these curses. And the reason for that is the bosses are the only way for you to get major Soulstones. The major Soulstones are used for every single skill tree node. Let me just show you what I mean by this, so this won't affect us. As you can see, we go and we use major Soulstones to level this to the max level. Over here as well, we use 3 here. And you can see where I'm going with this. Even at the blacksmith, if we want to craft a weapon, we're going to use a whack ton of these to craft those weapons. So you do want to try and, you know, fight as many bosses as you possibly can. Now at Curse Tier 4, we see Pillars of Despair. It's not really the end of the world if you want to play with it on, but try and avoid it. It's just, again, more things that you have to go and kill, and you know, more that you need to go and dodge, and you don't really want to have to play a dodging simulator, so you don't want that active. But we do use Clone Army to spawn more enemies. At Curse 5, we go for Clone Army, again to spawn more enemies, and then we go House of the Lords and Council of the Lords. Like I mentioned, we are going to be taking those curses every time we possibly can, and it just fills up the curses really quickly and makes things a whole lot easier for us. And then over here, at Curse 6, we take Unholy Reinforcements for the increased spawn rate, and then we take Void Presence. Void Presence isn't really difficult to play with, and it's 3 easy curse levels, or, you know, out of the 6 to have. It does avoid us from taking Captain of the Void, Revenge of the Void, and Lifeless Void. And then the Overwhelming Corruption is just you know, like another elite enemy that has different spells. It's like playing against yourself, so you do have to just be careful when they spawn, not to get killed by them. But they're quite fun to play against, quite different, and it makes the game feel a bit fresh. So it's nice to have Overwhelming Corruption in there. And then at Max Curse, we go Ethereal Lords. All this does is makes it so that when we kill all of the bosses, they stay alive until you've killed all 4 of them. And that helps us get rid of Captain of the Void, Warlord of the Void, and Revenge of the Void. So really, those are the curses we're going and playing with. But let's get into the gameplay, and we're going to do this so I can explain my decision making as much as possible. We are going to try and explain what we do and why. First things first, we do move over into the corner of the game. Depending on the map, it will change which corner we go to. If we were playing Caves of Del Zog, actually there's only one other map we would go to a different corner, and that is the not dungeons, that is the Whispering Woods. That is because there is an event in the Whispering Woods that we want to try and avoid unless we want to do it. And that's going to be in the bottom left of the map. So playing something like this and being in the bottom left of the map will actually start that event, or can start that event, and if we don't want to do that, we want to try and avoid it. Now, we have had our Ascension spawn, which is the Panther. And the Panther does make you move out of the corner, so right now we don't need it. We want to try and get it up and running close to when the bosses spawn, because it gives us really good bonuses, and those bonuses are going to help us kill those bosses faster. So these are the bonuses it gives us. It gives us pushback resistance, it gives us 20% increased damage cost, so the damage cost, frequency, movement speed are all multiplicative on Ascensions. That means it's a lot better than just 20%. I don't know how to explain it. The maths is really confusing, and how it all adds up, it's very complicated. So just know it's multiplicative, not additive. You can do whatever you want with that information. Just know it's really strong, and it gives us an extra dash as well, and we want all of these stats, so we're going to try and keep that. Over here, we're going to go for the damage. We could go, I wanted to check this, so we wanted to make sure all of our stats are green. If you have any stat that's maybe a negative over here because of focus fire, or a negative because of the weapon we've chosen, and because of not having enough in the skill tree unlocked to make that positive, then you've got to try and get, you know, those into a positive so that it feels a lot better. So over here, we're going to go for damage for Obscure Arrow. It just makes sense. We get Shadow Spark quite early, so we are going to play this one. We're going to play it as if we were going to go into an Overlord cycle. I'm not going to go into the Overlord cycle, but we're going to build it as if we are doing that. So it's going to help a lot more. So now we're going to focus a lot of our effort onto Shadow Sparks. So we want to be looking for the damage for Shadow Sparks, cast frequency, and multicast. I don't know how good area of effect is on it. I haven't really tested it that much, but I mean, I don't see why area of effect wouldn't be good on it. So we will eventually, when we get like an epic expansive, we will grab it. But when it comes to common, HP is probably one of the best common upgrades to get. We got Shadow Orb right off the bat as well, so that is really strong skills we got there without having to necessarily reroll. You know, when we're doing a build. Okay, so I actually want to just stop talking there and see. As you could see there, we started linking with or bonding with the Panther, and we lost the bond because I wasn't concentrating, or you know, I was moving out of the corner and I was told to stay in the corner, so I moved back into the corner, and we now lost the bond with the Panther. Now previously there never used to be an indicator on the screen to show where the Panther was, so a lot of people were like, oh no, you know, what happened now? The Panther always runs to the middle of the map. It will always run there. You'll see now it's running in circles. It is in the middle of the map, but it always wants to run to the middle of the map whenever you first summon it. So as soon as you start bonding with the Panther, it wants to run to the middle of the map, and you want to try and follow it to the middle to bond with it. So just know that if you ever start bonding and then don't bond with it, it's there in the middle of the map waiting for you. So here, because it's rare, we are going to be taking the multicast chance. There is upgrades that you do want that are going to be a lot better, like this one over here, the Shadow 2 projectile. Now, something about skill chain that you may or may not have known is that if it is a skill chain that goes from, it cannot affect itself. So because this is Shadow to projectile, because we have both shadow and projectile skill typings on Obscure Arrow, when Obscure Arrow shoots and it would apply the skill chain, the 10% chance, it cannot apply it to itself. If you had two Obscure Arrows, it would, the one could apply to the other one because it has the projectile tag, but it cannot apply to itself. So I hope that makes sense. Alright, so we're gonna grab ourselves some air. Ooh, that's not frontal, unfortunately. So we'll grab the skill chain because we do want some upgrades. Over here, if you don't want to use rerolls, you don't have to. In my case, I don't need to just yet. We did get a sniper shot, which is quite strong, so we are going to be grabbing it. And then we can grab the cast frequency over here for Shadow Orb. Cast frequency on every skill is going to be very good. It is going to be something that you do want to try and focus on. Now, because we have extended reach, skills like the Obscure Arrow and the Ricochet Shot actually go from, I believe this was 30 distance and it went to 54, and this was 80 distance and it went to 60 distance and it went to 108. Now, we don't want Chromatic Bolt because even though that's really good, it gives us a whole lot of different damaging effects as well as skill typings, so we land up with a lot of bloat in our skills, which we don't want. Are we going to find a Ricochet Shot? It doesn't actually look like it's happening. For now, we're actually going to grab ourselves Frag Shots because of the Dazed and the Aptitude. We want the Dazed for the crit chance and the Aptitude for the crit damage. So for now, we're going to grab that. And now we get the option of doing things like Doom Incarnate or Reinforced Projectiles is the other one. And these over here are going to give us critical chance to our projectiles. Unfortunately, because this is dual typing, it doesn't get the bonuses, and it won't even get the bonuses for the projectile to Shadow because it's both of them. So unfortunately, Obscure Arrow over here isn't going to benefit from Doom Incarnate or the reinforced projectiles, but you are going to want to focus now on cast frequency as well as some Fateful Strikes, because those are going to help carry us and they are going to make things a lot better for us. So over here, we're going to lock the Nature's God. Actually, no, not that one. There's an uncommon power where it reduces the time needed to spawn the Panther. That's the one we want. So for now, we're going to grab ourselves the Doom option because we want to try and stack as much of that for the damage of our Shadow Sparks. Now, if we weren't playing Shadow Sparks, we wouldn't even take the skill. We would focus on damage and probably would have taken a little bit of the reduced time or whatever on the Panther. Look, again, it just varies depending on how you want to play the build. Another question that we might get when we're playing or new to the game is, Broken, how is it that you're not leveling up? How do I have 9 level ups in succession? So if we go and look in the options and we click on settings, the first setting that you see, it says auto level up. It tells you what it does, but if we have this disabled or not clicked, not checked, it means that we don't level up automatically. This is bad for speed running, which we're not necessarily doing, but it is bad for speed running. You do want to have that on if you are speed running, because there are some upgrades that you want to get without having to not have them when you do level up. Those are like your XP modifier ones. If you level up and then you grab an XP modifier, but you've already leveled up 9 times, it doesn't affect those 9 other times you already leveled up. Alright, so cast frequency, of course, getting a rare power up is always much better. Over here, we're going to grab the increasing damage of Doom. We do apply a lot of Doom, so we do want to increase that damage quite a bit. Over here, the multicast trance is really good on sniper shots, but we might not be keeping it, so I'm not going to worry too much about the skill just yet. Over here, we're going to grab the Doom damage. If Relentless was uncommon or higher, I would prioritize it over other things, but you'll see that cast frequency is more important on some skills than others, and in this case, that Doom is going to play a huge role in the damage we're dealing, so we don't need that common Relentless. We want it to be something a little bit more better over there. Can we get a ricochet shot? Unfortunately not. We couldn't get anything over there. Area of effect, we are going to grab this one because I think it could be quite helpful, and since we don't have a lot of area of effect, I do want to see what happens. It doesn't affect the void trap, unfortunately, and not really a skill we're too worried about, but we're going to go and grab that. So here we got the Relentless. We are going to grab it because it is uncommon, and this is the thing I was speaking about earlier. When you want to use your auto level option when you are speed running, is because of the magnetic. This affects how much experience you gain, and obviously having it a lot earlier is very helpful, and having it before you level up 9 times does help with those other 9 levels. We could have maybe been level 27 instead of level 25, or whatever the case may have been there. Alright, in this case, we wanted to reduce the time necessary for the Panther to appear, but we also want that big, powerful strikes over here. So we're going to grab this, and we did lock Nature's Guardian so that we can grab it the next level. So we do want to reduce the amount of time it takes for the Panther to appear. It was originally, we can only mount it for 40 seconds. It doesn't actually mention how long the time is, but from my remembering, originally when it used to be available, like in the beginning, I used to ask the devs questions about everything. And one of my questions was, what was the timer? I believe it was a 1 minute cooldown before it goes and spawns again. So that obviously reduces it to like a 55 seconds or 54 seconds. You can just look at the clock to see when that might happen for yourself. So we got the Panther to spawn. We do actually want movement speed over here. I'm not worried about the damage on frag shots. We're just looking for damage on Shadow Spark right now. So movement speed over there is more of a priority. Over here, we are going to grab the duration just so that you can see. So we go from 40 seconds to 44 seconds. makes a lot of sense. We're going to grab the movement speed here. Multicast chance, very, very, very good over there. And we're still looking for some of the skills. We can go for damage. It's not really that great. We don't need the damage over here. Some could say even grabbing the magnetic over here could be better. I'm actually going to do that because we're not focusing on the damage for that skill. And then over here, we're going to grab ourselves the powerful strike and then the relentless as well. And what do we get here? This damage over here, 45% extra damage on the damage scaling build. It just makes a lot of sense. The damage per stack and the damage go up now, so that's really, really good for us. Now if you feel like you don't want to chase the panther all the way to the center of the map, then you can get that reduced the time it takes to tame the panther upgrades. But as you can see, we've had a lot of better upgrades to grab, and it just makes sense for us to grab those instead of the panther upgrades. Some of the panther upgrades are a lot better to grab, like the one where it lasts for longer, so the fact that we can mount it for longer. Unfortunately, I believe panther is the only ascension where you cannot, no matter how much, even if we, like, let's say made it so that we mount the panther for like 2 minutes, even after those 2 minutes, there's still going to be a cooldown on the panther. There's no way to increase that. Now, because we are maybe going into an overlord cycle with this build, some things that are really good to get you, like let's say these are all common, getting armor can be very, very powerful. So we do that. Now over here, we're going to get the critical chance to apply Doom. That is beautiful, but that now also means that we need to look at getting ourselves more critical chance. Over here, we don't actually want projectile to bomb. Actually, we can do that. No, I say we don't want it, but it can actually be very good. Over here, this is beautiful, so we're going to grab that. Here's a reinforced projectiles, which is also very, very strong. This is the one that we were speaking about again, because it's a projectile and because obscure arrow is both shadow and projectile. Unfortunately, this never affects it, and neither does the other upgrade that affects both. The Doom Incarnate doesn't affect shadow obscure arrow. So just because of that, it's a bit of a horrible one for the obscure arrow. It doesn't get any of the bonuses. And over here, we're going to grab the uncommon block power. Block power is extremely important in the game right now. Being able to block the enemy's damage. If you had a 90% chance, block chance, and you get hit by the Void Knights, there is 90% chance for you to survive that hit from the Void presence. So you do actually want to get it and get the upgrades for it. So here's our ricochet shot. Finally, we managed to get it. So we're actually going to get rid of sniper shot, and we are in a much better spot now. Over here, we take the relentless. There isn't anything better over there. We don't need the crit damage yet. We're not playing necessarily crit. We do need to get to 100% crit if possible, but we're not really getting a lot of crit upgrades, or we're not really getting any of those upgrades that are giving us crit. However, we do have dazed in the build, and we do have, if you wanted, you could get other things that give you maybe form or anything like that. So we've got dazed already, so we're going to increase the crit chance that we can apply to bosses and enemies, so that does help us with that. And then we do get a whole lot of other things as well. So over here, we don't need multicast necessarily. We got quite a bit because of the upgrades, but you can see because of the Doom Incarnate, we've actually landed up getting quite a bit of crit chance on our skills over here. And then with the reinforced projectiles, we also get quite a bit of crit going that way. But we still want to go and increase our crits over here. We can skip that, we no longer need it. And then over here, we also don't need the multicast chance, so we're going to grab a magnetic and then grab another crit over there. And you can see the Doom doing a lot of damage over there, even applying so much Doom to enemies. And then we're going to wait for the next boss fight over here before we go and do the that's really nice and all. We'll actually lock it, but the cast frequency on Shadow Sparks is very, very good. So we're going to wait for the bosses to spawn. We'll wait till about 400 out of 550, and then we'll go chase our panther to the middle of the map, and by then we should have mounted it and spawned the bosses at the same time. Now these are the corrupted void, reinforcements, the one curse over there. You can see they died already, so we can't even see. I was going to be like, oh, this is that character, but they died very quickly, so I couldn't actually tell you. We are now at 500 of 550, so let's go and start doing this. You can see the bosses have started spawning, and we land up taming the panther. Bosses are about to spawn. The panther should last throughout the whole round of the bosses being alive, and you can see just how beautiful our damage now is compared to what it was earlier, and everything just dies a lot quicker, including the bosses. But now we left in a predicament. We still got half of our duration on the panther available, and now we're thinking to ourselves, well, is it going to be up in time? The short answer, no. Over here we're going to go for life. Over here we're going to go for the cast frequency. The only reason I'm taking this over this is because we're not getting the upgrades from the Doom Incarnate, as well as the reinforced projectiles for Obscure Arrow, so getting upgrades for it that we otherwise can't is going to be more helpful. Over here we're going to go Fateful Strike, multiple casts on projectiles. That's going to help us apply a lot more Doom, and that's very, very good over there. Fantastic. So I mean, as you can see, pretty easy. Again, like I said, we're not going to go into the Overlord cycles for this, but you can see we've nearly done this in under 7 minutes. It should be under 8 minutes by the time, or hopefully it should be under 8 minutes. That's what we're hoping for. You can see it's very, very strong. You can see even if we don't do under 8 minutes, it's all right. We can, as long as it's under 14 minutes, you should be able to get into an Overlord cycle if you wanted to. Unfortunately, the Sentinel isn't the greatest character to do Overlord cycles. It is actually, they're much better characters to do it, much faster and much better survivability. So there are some times that you don't necessarily want them. Over here we're going to go and lock this. We do want to reduce the time the panther takes to respawn, because that's going to help us get it more active. And we're going to grab the skill chain over here as well. Of course, having higher skill chain means that we are going to be dealing more damage, because we're going to have a higher chance of our skills being pushed out more often, so even without them being on cooldown. Now, even though our ascension is up and running again, as you can see, we're dealing more than enough damage to not even worry about it, and that's one of the beautiful things. 7 minutes 27 seconds without full skill tree, on the most amount of curse that you need to play the game on. So it's not max curse, but you don't need your curse to be any stronger. Over here we would have taken the relentless cast frequency, or even locked this, but relentless makes it so we get 10% cast frequency on everything, as opposed to just 30% on one item. So that's more powerful than just the one upgrade. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I helped you learn something new. As you can see, Shadow Orb ricochet shot dealing a whack ton of damage. But as you go further into the runs, as you do more and more, as you apply more Doom, Shadow Spark will overtake the other skills, and that's what you were aiming for as you're playing the game. So you do want to then work on your block power and armor power and getting more life, and then applying as much Doom and doing as much Doom damage as possible. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And always remember, keep safe, survivors. Until next time, cheers.